Well, let me ask you this when it comes to the transition that you've been making, because you've always been into hip hop, but you've been deep into
Yeah.
the EDM scene. You've had songs like Space Jam and stuff like that that are in the millions, right? Then you
Yeah.
start getting into the hip hop and making hip hop beats.
I don't want no talk. I don't want no lip. That little big ol' strip. That little big ol' strip.
What do you think is easier, making an EDM style beat or a hip hop beat?
Well, I mean, I think that the fact that I had that support from big EDM DJs and the big labels, that sort of like, and because it was so hot right then at that moment, like I kind of got in like right at that time where people were going crazy over EDM DJs and, club music.
Right.
Club music, I mean, dance club music. I think that sort of like gave me an unrealistic expectation in terms of doing hip hop. One reason being that I started my own label. So everything I've released so far almost has been on my own label.
Right.
So now I'm learning that side of things. Like you can have a great song, but the fact is if you don't have money to promote it and connections and all that kind of thing, nobody's going to hear it.
Yeah.
Even like a few million people hearing your song, the most of the population hasn't heard it yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like you really have to get like a lot of listeners to be able to make a dent in terms of like the world stage, or even Canada or the US.
Yeah.
So I think that it's been a struggle, I think, because I'm again, my expectations, like when I first started releasing hip hop records and I'm like, yeah, people heard it and they hear them and it's on some radio stations and stuff. But I'm like, how do I get it? Like the level that my dance stuff was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just, I think it also takes longer to make songs happen now because I'm dealing with so many different artists. Like I'm not going to rap, so I can't just rap and do my own production and then release it. Like I have to make sure that they like it and that they, agree to everything and that, this release schedule is on point and all that kind of stuff. So it's just more stuff.
Well,
definitely.
It's definitely a transition, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
And
Sure.
even there's something I read in an article. It said you're renowned for your ability to entertain large crowds and produce your own music. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Right?
Entertain. I've performed in front of like, I don't know. I think the most in one stage is like 80,000 at
Nice.
once.
So my question,
So a lot of,
I have a question on
yeah.
that. Do you get nerves?
Oh yeah. But you asked me about high school earlier, and I think that I'm the same now as I was then in terms of something about being on stage is not as scary to me. It's more like human interaction. Like this, I'm more nervous.
Really?
Because it's like it's like one-on-one, and for me, I've always been somebody who always like doesn't really know what to say usually, like one-on-one, or even in front of the classroom or something. If like a teacher would talk to me directly, I would be like, and then like my brain just blank out.
You draw a blank, yeah.
But in terms of performing, I've always gotten really nervous beforehand, but then like once I'm there, like I'm just like another person. It's just it transform.
I've seen you like on footage, like, rocking out in front of thousands of people, right? You ever
Yeah.
have a technical difficulty where you were like, oh,
Yeah.
oh my God. And tell me
You
about
know
one
what's
of those.
crazy? I had a dream last night that happened to me, literally last night. Like this DJ mix up things when there's some technical difficulty and you're just like, because, you can forget a word as like a singer or a rapper or something or go off key, but then you just keep going and it's fine.
Right.
But, if you're, something is wrong with, I've had so many, like I think every DJ has. One of my first experiences was, I was using Serato when I first started DJing. So that's like on your laptop.
Yeah.
And then I had like a controller CD in the CDJ, which is like the turntable. And I didn't realize, but the controller CD was like all scratched up. And you have to go through them all the time because they just scratch and that's how it is. But I was like going on after Hardwell, who's like a huge EDM DJ in Vegas. And I mean, he was at the time also like #1 DJ, like crazy. And I was in the middle of mixing out his last song and bringing mine in, and mine started skipping, and it sounded like I just did a like complete like train wreck, basically.
Oh, man.
And nobody knew me at the time, so they're like already like, oh, who's this girl who probably sucks at DJing? That's like the thing that people say, oh, she probably doesn't know how to DJ because she's a girl. Like, you know, I've heard that stuff so many times. Or like, oh, she probably like sucked his dick or something to get this gig or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, why is that the thing? Like, I don't.
It's like dumb shit. Like, oh, she's probably the promoter's girlfriend. You ever heard?
Yeah.
You got?
I haven't got that one. I haven't, but
No?
I'm sure people have.
Shit, I'm probably more creative than people. I used to be a rapper.
It's normally for me. I think the one that I used to get. I don't really get it anymore because I think people have seen by now that I know how to DJ.
And you have a reputation.
Yeah, but it's also like, it's not as hard as it used to be to DJ. Like, you can, especially with EDM, like you can make. I even do it now, like make mashups, pre-mashup stuff before I perform, just because like it's just less stuff to think about if you're performing. Like for me, the actual part about DJing is not like, oh, I just can't wait to mix these records together. It's more the idea of choosing the songs and being in front of people and being like, this is what I think that you would like to hear. Like and performing my own songs. Like that's what I like about DJing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that experience was really stressful. That's why I switched to USB. So I don't use a laptop. I just use USBs now because nothing can happen. Yeah. Basically. But they do change the CDJs now. They do like firmware updates. They have new, new products that come out. And sometimes you're not familiar with whatever it is. And if a venue just switches on you, then you're like, oh shit. Like, especially at night, and maybe you had like a drink or something, and you're like, wait, this doesn't look like it did yesterday.
Yeah.
So, it's almost like second nature when I DJ. Like, I don't really look as much anymore. I can almost do it without headphones on now.
Crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, occasionally, but I used to have to keep them on like the whole time. So I think if you're so used to it, and then something's different all of a sudden, you might be like, and then mess up or. I mean, everybody's messed up. I've seen Diplo do like the worst mixes or like something really off key. Yeah. Sometimes you don't know the song that you're playing that well. So you think like that you got another bar still, and then, you don't loop it, and then you have like two vocals on top of each other, and you're like, you have to like turn one out quickly.
Yeah.
But there's things like that happen. But I think the worst time that I had was, do you know David Guetta?
Yes.
Yeah. So he has this thing called Fuck Me I'm Famous, which is a show that he puts on. It started in Ibiza. He did it in Vegas for a while. So he had me headlining one time, and I had actually taken the place of another DJ, and he was not really happy about it because now he was opening for me instead of headlining. Yeah. And I was using Serato at the time, and right before I went on, he like unplugged all of the wires.
Holy shit.
Like literally right as I was about to go on, and he was like, unplug them, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, there's no music on or anything. So I was just like, luckily I knew how to plug it back in, but he thought that I wouldn't know and then just be like, and he was acting like he didn't understand what I was like, what are you doing? Like, I see what you're doing. You're trying to f up my thing.
That's crazy.
I've had guys unplug the main speakers before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to make me look bad. Yeah. It's. No.
Well, that answers my question of DJ beef. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've always wondered, like, I know rappers have a lot of rapper beef, but DJs, what does DJ beef look like? But you just explained it right there. Like, that's some ugly shit. Like, when it comes to.
It's not usually the bigger DJs don't do stuff like that, but they do talk shit against each other. Like, they'll say, like, oh, that person doesn't make their own music, or I guess that could be the same as like that rapper doesn't write their own rhymes, you know?
Yeah.
Just talking like I've had guys be like, yeah, I like banged her, and like just making stuff up, you know?
That's crazy.
I think there's a lot of jealousy for sure in EDM land. Definitely.
That sounds mixy, like crazy. Like, you know what? That's like an eye opener to me because, like you said, like rappers have the ability to vocalize their beef. So like you could literally be like, F this guy on your track. But you guys are not speaking, you know what I mean? Unless you're like one of the DJs who, you know, MC at the same time, then you can be like, you know, shout out to all Masab and crew and, you know, F those guys on the other side, you know what I mean? But like, you can't like, unless you have a record of somebody dissing the DJ, you can only just talk shit about them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, people sometimes like, you'll see producers like copying you or like, you know, stealing an idea or whatever. But yeah, again, you can't really say anything unless you have a friend that's rapping and you tell them to do it. But
yeah.